I know this is a little bit different than my other box office videos, but today I just want to talk about one specific movie. Why on earth is Transformers 1 flopping? Now, to set the scene for you guys, and I have the numbers right here to make sure I don't get anything wrong, is Transformers 1 was expected to open domestically to, on the lower end, $30 million. The range was anywhere between $30 and $40 million. $30 million, that wasn't going to be great. Hopefully it was higher than that, but the reviews came out and the movie was good. It had an 88% critic score, 99% audience score, so everyone that's seen the movie really likes it. However, the movie opened up at even below its lowest expectations at $26 million, and maybe even worse off, it was number 2 in its opening weekend to Beetlejuice, which is in its third weekend, or was in its third weekend. So my big question is, why is this movie flopping? Now, the first point that I have is the obvious. Transformers as a franchise has not traditionally been good. The Michael Bay movies, while they made tons of money, and they definitely have their cult following, they hurt the brand, okay? After those movies were done, Bumblebee came out, was good, and didn't make anywhere close to those movies. I think that movie made about $400 million, whereas the Transformers movies with Shia LaBeouf, Mark Wahlberg, they were making like $1 billion a movie. But even among those films, by the end, the franchise was making less and less money per movie. So now that they've decided to actually come out with good films, those are the ones that are being hurt. And not to mention, they came out with another live action movie last year that, while it did okay, it didn't make anywhere close to the previous live action movies. And the reception on that was pretty mixed. I swayed negative on that film. I didn't think it was horrible, but it was like a 4 out of 10. So that's my first point, that the Transformers franchise it didn't do this movie any favors. It soured on audiences. The second one is just how this movie was marketed. I couldn't really get a sense for who it was for, because the initial trailer came out and I had no interest for this. It looked like a kid movie through and through. But then, reception coming out of CinemaCon, I believe, was really positive for the trailer that they showed there, and they kind of shifted the marketing to be more for the fans of the franchise, people that enjoyed the old animation. This was a return to that form, and a movie just being based on Cybertron. This is going to be a very different story, but that mixed marketing in there just wasn't that consistent message. It almost felt like they didn't know who they needed to market towards, and that kind of leads me to my third point, in that this movie initially was marketed, I guess, towards families and their kids, but this movie honestly is a bit too violent to just bring your small children to. Parents that did their homework may not have wanted their kid to see a Transformers lift up another Transformer and rip them in half. Okay, there's violence like that throughout the movie, where I would say this movie almost just should have been a PG-13. Originally, this movie was marketed to those kids, but it wasn't really a kid's movie. And on that same note, if families did want to take their kids, I don't know if maybe the kids going back to school, we are in September. I don't know if that is playing a role in this as well, where maybe parents are being a little bit more picky. They got plans on the weekends. Maybe they don't want to go out to the movies at the same frequency that they did in the summer. They only got 2 days to do it as opposed to a whole week. But then also something that I think worth bringing up is that September traditionally is not a great month for the box office. I went into Box Office Mojo and I just took a look month over month, year over year, on what the best months tend to be, just baseline throughout the year. I looked at it before COVID and after COVID, and there's absolutely a lull in between the summer months and the winter months. And September ends up being that month where maybe less movies are released, and maybe there's one film that has a big pop, and that film may have just already come out in Beetlejuice, but it's even lower than October traditionally. So September isn't really a big box office month. There tends to just be one hit. So I think those three things really, at the end of the day, impacted Transformers 1 in a large way. One, the marketing, it didn't really seem clear what demographic this movie was going after. 2, it was released in September, so not the best time to release your film. And then 3, and I know I'm going out of order here, but the Transformers franchise appears to have just doomed itself because of terrible movies in the past, and audiences just aren't getting duped anymore. Now I want to talk about, can this movie have legs? Can it end up generating a profit? Well, the good news here for the studio is that it didn't cost a ton to make this movie. It cost $75 million, which I know, to me, definitely a lot of money, but as far as it comes, or as far as it goes with financing an animated film, that's not that bad. So they made $26 million. There have been movies in recent history that have been able, because of their quality, to have long legs and end up generating a profit in the long run. Can this movie do that? I'm not too sure, unfortunately. Now, The Wild Robot comes out this week, and that's another animated film that is getting rave reviews. I think even better than Transformers 1. So it's kind of competing with that movie for the eyes of families and the small kids. As for the other demographics that might be interested in Transformers, maybe people that liked the old cartoons or liked the Michael Bay movies who grew up on them. There isn't a ton coming out, but in 2 weeks, Joker 2 is being released, and while that movie is not projected to make the same amount of money as the first one, and it's not being reviewed at all in the same way, it's gonna take some dollars away from the other films in the theater, okay? We'd be stupid to think that it wasn't going to. So I don't know, man. It's really gonna need a big push. People that have seen the movie are really gonna have to promote it hard with their friends. They're gonna have to return. It's gonna be an uphill battle for this movie because it probably, on a budget of $75 million, it probably needs to make $150–160 million, maybe. So it's definitely tough. I like the movie a lot. I didn't think it was the best thing ever. My review is linked here in case you want to watch that after this video. But it doesn't deserve to be flopping the way that it is. But what are y'all's thoughts? Are you surprised to hear the box office returns for Transformers 1? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, all.